Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to the All Time Podcast, the podcast of all time. Pools closed again. So, just last night, I had uploaded my episode, which was actually covering the previous night. I had run out of time before I could upload. And I check my news, and apparently, or seemingly so, the U.S. and Iran have reached some kind of a ceasefire deal. So I was like, well, okay, that's a little bit odd, a little bit strange. Didn't make sense to me, and not to insert myself into the equation, but um, from what I knew and what I understood about the situation, it just did not make sense because both sides are diametrically opposed to each other. At their base level, they are opposed. Iran wants enrichment. They want their ballistic missiles. They want their proxies. They want now they want control over the Strait of Hormuz. And for the United States, they basically wanted none of that, and they wanted their regime to be toppled. So it just did not really make sense why they would come to a ceasefire, and especially in Iran's case, would they why would they get a ceasefire so the US can catch its breath and come back and strike again, because they will strike again. Like, this is not a question of if, it's when. And they had gone they'd gone through this for so long, and Iran has been prepping. It's been what, 30, 40 years. They've fortified their entire country. It's ballistic missiles, it's nuclear material, highly enriched, it's underground passages, it's underground cities that are producing these drones and missiles. So it just did not make sense that after all this, especially after the war actually broke out, because their fears were realized that something was coming and that they were next on the chopping block. We all know, if you've read the clean break memo, you know that Iran is there on the list. So I'm reading that, and I'm just like, it just did not make sense to me. So I figured, hey, this is probably not going to hold for very long. I thought it was going to maybe hold for a couple days, kind of shaky. Well, apparently it didn't even last that long. By the time I woke up, Israel was bombing Lebanon again. They bombed multiple sites. I believe it was about around 90 people had died. Either 100 or hundreds were injured, severely injured. And so it's as if nothing had happened. So it was just so odd to me. And so I thought, okay, where did this ceasefire thing even come from? It seems like nothing even really changed, really. My only assumption was that it was just, President Trump's way of once again soothing the markets, because we were getting battered, we were getting hammered in the markets, because everyone was pricing in, or beginning to price in, this war. They were beginning to believe that the strait would not be opened in any feasible amount of time. So, as usual, he makes these maximalist threats around Friday or so, and then early in the week he says, we're talking, we're coming to a ceasefire deal. They're begging for a deal. And it just seems like this time around, I don't know, I guess he just thought he could just go with it. I don't know if they were actually in talks, or if some kind of agreement was made but it was disagreed on. It's all very, very strange. And especially in this current administration, well, it's typical of all administrations, but in this particular case, they're not being very honest, and it's just not making sense. Nothing is adding up. So that's just what I had to say about that. And, well, when it all comes down to it, right now, pool's closed. The strait is closed again. It was quote unquote open for a little while. I believe a couple tankers went through from Greece. And then, Iran, they were not happy with the bombing of Lebanon. They said, or at least they claim to have said, that they wanted to include Lebanon on that ceasefire. And Israel said that they wanted to be included on the ceasefire, but they don't want Lebanon to be included on the ceasefire so they can keep bombing them. So it's just this big, confusing mess. It's like everyone is saying something else, so which makes it even more hard to believe that any kind of a ceasefire agreement was made. So basically, everything fell apart all over again, and this is in not even 24 hours. I don't know, maybe 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours. Let's say that all talks just broke down all over again. Straits closed. Just today, I believe a tanker was going through, and then the IRGC said, "Hey, pool's closed. Turn around." So you can even see on the map, it did a little U-ey, turn right back around. So yeah, it's not looking good. It looks like markets are they're gonna stay cooked for a while. But hey, like I said last time, good buying opportunity if you're looking to get these dipped prices on these assets. But unfortunately, it does mean that the energy crunch is back on. I know that when the ceasefire was announced, the oil futures tanked. Energy energy levels, not energy levels, just the energy futures, they were dropping. Crude oil, everyone was surmising that it would no longer be held up in the strait, and markets acted accordingly. Even crypto had a little bit of a run, went up quite a few percentages, which is a lot different than what it's been like for past few weeks. It's been kind of going up and down. Bitcoin in particular, it's been going between 66 and 70, and it just kind of crabs around there nonstop. It actually went to 71K, maybe 72K. I need to check that. So the markets were definitely welcoming the good news of the ceasefire. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Whatever semblance of a ceasefire that was had has broken down. So we're kind of back to where we were, honestly. Um, so the strait it's back to being closed, I guess. And I think at one point they were doing some limited. They're letting it like a few a day, but they were charging them. So they were charging them, I believe it was 2 million. I want to say it was in the Chinese yuan and not in dollars. And that brings up another big point about this whole conflict is the de-dollarization. So this conflict is just going to be wreaking havoc on the dollar, because with that strait, if you want to pass through, you got to pay in Chinese money, you got to pay in yuan or something else. I'm even hearing that they're wanting to be paid in crypto instead. So it's actually quite interesting. I wonder how that'll play out with crypto. So it's just no part of this is good. I honestly do not see what we're getting out of this exactly. Even for those who said this is about China, well, China was largely still getting their oil. And now, after this conflict, and I guess we're still in this conflict, they are getting even tighter with China. And that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. And why would it be? Because uh, Iran is getting ballistic missiles, weapons, munitions, intel from China, and China is getting the oil. And they're getting assuming that the tankers that pass through are paying in yuan, they're having their own currency strengthened. So we're watching the slow, painful death of the petrodollar, which is bad for us because we heavily rely on that petrodollar. So yeah, and that's that. And just some more things to take away is that we don't actually produce anything. The United States largely does not produce anything. We are a deindustrialized nation. We are a deindustrialized economy. We are a financialized economy. So we run on speculation, on markets, on investment. And during wartime, that is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you need real, tangible, useful assets flowing. And that is just something that we just do not have. So Iran, it is a very hardened nation. They spent, was it 30, 40 plus years preparing for this. And they've been producing drones, missiles, munitions, bombs. And it seems to have worked well for them. You have to give credit where it's due. You don't have to love them or anything. And I'm an American. I'm a patriot, but you have to give credit where it's due. They fought hard. They took heavy losses. They lost basically all of their top leadership, and they still stood. Their regime didn't fall. So you have to call it what it is, and you have to, even if you, for those that consider them an adversary, you have to show respect to that. You have to respect your adversaries, or else you run the risk of underestimating them, like we did, because we thought that we could go through with a decapitation strike, and you know, we, Lord knows, we struck them. We bombed the hell out of them, and they still stood. So that's just a testament to the regime. So credit where it is due. And what's going on? What else is going on here? So with their, in addition to the de-dollarization, we have the energy crunch, as we all know. Global energy affects everyone, obviously global. So even if we don't necessarily rely that heavily on the strait, everyone else does. So that is still going to be inflationary to us. It's going to make products cost more for us. It's going to make imports cost more. We already have tariffs and everything, and all that's being passed on to the consumer. And also the infrastructure. This is another thing. The oil and I guess also AI infrastructure has been bombed heavily. All of these Gulf states that we have been allied with, all this infrastructure, it's been just, I don't want to say demolished, but it's been very, very, very heavily damaged with this. And that is going to affect us down the line. It's going to affect global energy down the line for sure. And another point that's not as commonly spoken about is the fertilizer that goes through the straits. So a lot of byproducts of this oil processing are components for fertilizers. So I'm not a chemist. I'm not going to embarrass myself here, but a lot of things in fertilizers, or just the fertilizers themselves, come through or are produced in or around the strait. And if you're a gardener, or if you're a farmer, or if you just plant things, right now is peak planting season for certain things, and it's going to need fertilizer. And especially for agriculture, common agriculture, for like the groceries that you get in the grocery store, it's not like sorry, I'm still sick. So if I'm sniffing around, making if I'm coughing and things, I apologize. I try not to do it too much in the mic, but yeah, we think of agriculture like old Farmer Brown and his little family-owned little red farmhouse, and he's got his two cows. No, it's not like that. The agriculture that sustains the United States, it's massive. It's subsidized. It's massive agricultural companies They use massive amounts of pesticides and fertilizers and everything. And we very much rely on our fertilizer in order to get our crops to where we need them to be to have the stock that we need it to be at. So this constraint on fertilizer shipping is absolutely going to affect us. It's going to be affecting us very soon. It's already starting to affect us, but it's really going to pick up in the coming months and definitely next season, next year. So that is another thing to be aware of. And we also have our vulnerability to China. So with this war that is seems to still be ongoing, we are getting increasingly vulnerable to China because we're using up all of our munitions. We bombed Iran nonstop, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. I want to say we bombed them 15,000 plus times, so which is actually insane. So we are running low on critical munitions. Interceptors obviously have been running low. Uh, in this entire time, our adversaries, people that we consider adversaries, China, Russia, they're taking notes. They're sitting back. They're watching. They're getting battle data. They're seeing when we're able to do things, refuel time, speed, our munitions, all kinds of vital war data, battle data from this whole conflict, and that will be used accordingly. And not to mention, we've moved our positions around the world to the Middle East in order to fight this conflict. We did have a naval vessel out in the ocean in the Asian area, and that had to get moved all the way up to the Middle East for this conflict. So we are now vulnerable. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying necessarily to predict anything, but if China wanted to, it might be a good time to make some kind of a move, or maybe wait a little bit more for this conflict to play out some more, for us to use up more munitions, ruin our relationship with our allies even more than we've already had. So, and yeah, that's just it. And what this is proving is that this war is just not. It's just not it. And I'm trying not to get too in the weeds about it. I'm trying to tie this into the financial implications, which I think I've done a pretty good job at. But I do find this stuff very much interesting. I've found the geopolitics of the Middle East very interesting. I've been following it for quite some time. So this is definitely a big point of interest for me. So yeah, and regards to the ceasefire, once again, it's just not holding up. It crumbled. If there even ever was a ceasefire to start with, there probably is not one now, and this is because we have to restrain our great ally in the Middle East. We have to. So they're definitely putting us up to the test to see, hey, are you able to? Well, they're just basically asking, do you have sovereignty? Are you able to hold water in this region? Can you restrain everyone in this region? Because right now, uh, nobody's happy. Our allies are not happy. The Gulf states are not happy. They're getting bombed. They're trying to get high net worth individual, the elite capital. They're trying to get them investing in their banks, living in their smart cities. They're trying to bring tourism, entertainment, and then they're just getting just absolutely smoked by ballistic missiles and drones. So they have an incentive to want Iran to fall as well. So yeah, so that's just my thoughts on the issue. no hormussy for anyone. uh, Pool is still closed. So I almost thought that with my previous episode, I would have had to amend it or something, or even just not even upload. I said, hey, just screw it, just upload the thing, let the chips fall where they may, and I played my cards right, and the pool is still closed. So yeah, I'm just gonna call it there. Hope you all are doing well. Let me know in the comments what you think about the issue, or what are you doing to stay prepared in these crazy, crazy wild times. This is Jay from the All Time Podcast, signing out.